Godfrey, you've been what you could say an old hippie for a very long time, and since I've known you, you've spoken about the times many years previous to that you have felt that something big was going to happen in your lifetime, in our lifetime, some big changes to culture, to society. And I know you've been feeling this, and it feels like right now it's that big thing is starting to happen. Could you speak a little bit more about this? Tell us what you feel and share those thoughts from the past time, but also about what you feel about that right now.
Yes, well, I suppose 45 years ago, it somehow, I don't really know how it happened, but it entered my awareness that the way human beings were collectively living couldn't go on for much longer without some kind of a crisis because of its fundamentally exploitative nature, where that exploitation is perhaps initially most obviously of human to human, but also human to nature. So you could say I've been waiting for climate breakdown all of my adult life, expecting it, and in a way hoping that it would happen in my lifetime, which is a strange thing to hope, but just because I wanted to experience it. But now, but only really very recently, it's not even a year, that it's become part of the zeitgeist, this recognition that it's not just that it's coming, it's already here. So for me, I've had 45 years to adapt to that, and you could almost say that I've never seen anything other than that. That's always been in my awareness. So I've always been living in the end of days, in a sense. And I'm very aware that it's quite normal for human beings to think that they're living in the end of days. You know, that's the beginning of Christianity, was he's coming back soon. However, that was all coming from political turmoil, usually, or economic turmoil. This is not political and economic turmoil, although it's expressing through it. This is what I would call it, don't know if it's the right word, geophysical. You know, the planet, the balance of the planet has been lost. I don't know for how long it's been very clear to me that whatever could be done, it's not going to get that balance back. So even if it's not the end of the human race, it's definitely going to be the end of this exploitative civilization. It has to be. If that carries on, then it will be the end of the human race. But of course, we may know that the human race only needs 50 or 60 members to reseed itself. You know? So not being the end of the human race is not necessarily a good story for most individuals who are currently alive. So I actually don't feel particularly troubled by it, partly because I'm used to sensing that it was coming. Maybe you could say partly because I'm 63 years old and I've had a great life, you know, but I actually don't think that that's particularly relevant. I don't think anybody can feel how long they've been alive in a quantitative sense. And I think that unless somebody's really depressed, they don't want to die, you know, and if somebody knows that you've only got 10 years, it's not enough, however old you are. So I don't think that that's really relevant. But I think that another reason why I'm not worried is because of what I would call my radical ecological outlook, which is based on an understanding of the nature and the significance of consciousness. And my familiarity with consciousness, not just consciousness, conscious mind or conscious awareness, but consciousness as the driver of life, biology and evolution, makes it very difficult, I would say impossible, for me to see endings and beginnings as anything other than a failure of human intelligence. And it's just, everything is just transforming. And yes, the transformation, of course, always involves every organism dies. And sometimes many organisms of the same species die. And yes, maybe that's coming for human beings, but it just seems normal, natural to me. I'm not afraid by the fact that I know that I'm going to die. I'm not afraid, intimidated, or anxious about the fact that my children may not live as long as me. And I don't think that that's because I'm cold and insensitive and unfeeling. I think it's almost the opposite. It's because I can feel the pulse and the power of the wholeness in such a way that I feel completely safe. I feel totally supported. That doesn't mean that all of my dreams come true. It doesn't mean that I haven't gone broke and bankrupt. I have. It doesn't mean that I haven't lost a child. I have. It doesn't mean that I haven't been abandoned and neglected, beaten up by the police, incarcerated and imprisoned. I have experienced all of those things, none of which I particularly wanted. So it doesn't mean to me when I say I feel totally safe and totally supported that I think bad things can't happen to me or those that I love. I know that bad things can happen to me and to people that I love because they have many times. But I'm not bothered by that. That doesn't disturb me. I don't want or expect life to be only a bed of roses. I understand that roses grow past thorns. And that's life. That's nature. And I'm not afraid of nature. I'm not afraid of nature because I'm very, very comfortable with human nature. And to me, human nature is not, again, what the scientific establishment would let us think that it is, whether that's a kind of mixed up mess, cocktail of Freud and Darwin and Adam Smith or whoever, making us think that it's human nature to be aggressive, greedy and selfish. No, don't think so. And I think it can easily be validated that it's not the case with a random sample of people who are not psychotic, who are not psychopaths, but you can include in it sociopaths, and with a little guidance, it would not be very difficult to confirm that all human beings, if they look inside deeply enough, find most consistently the same qualities, and those same qualities are expressions of their nature, and one of them is peace, and another one is love, and another one is happiness.